Welcome back to my channel, the 5 rare Washington quarters that sold for thousands, even hundreds of thousands. See the dates, mint marks, and errors that make them priceless. Let's dive in. Our first coin, the 1968 Washington quarter dollar with a large date and D mint mark. This is not just any ordinary quarter. Even in circulated condition with visible scratches and signs of use, this coin has shocked the numismatic world with an auction value reaching up to $280,000 under the right circumstances. The Washington Quarter Series began in 1932 to honor the first President of the United States, George Washington. The coin features the portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan, and for decades it has remained one of the most recognized coins in American history. In 1968, production of quarters continued in large numbers, and the Denver Mint struck millions of these coins with a D mint mark. The mint mark can be found on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Most 1968 D quarters are common and worth only face value in circulated condition, but a rare large date variety with unique characteristics has become extremely valuable. The 1968 Washington quarter was minted in a copper-nickel-clad composition, as the United States had already transitioned away from 90% silver quarters after 1964. Because of this, many collectors initially overlooked coins from the late 1960s. However, certain varieties and striking anomalies from this period have gained tremendous attention. The large date variety refers to the noticeably bigger and bolder numbers in the date compared to other known examples. When combined with strong strike details and specific die characteristics, this variety becomes highly desirable. Now you might be wondering, how can a circulated coin with scratches and fine condition details be worth as much as $280,000? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and unique minting factors. In some cases, the large date 1968 D Washington quarter has been linked to rare die varieties, possible double die features, or unusual striking errors that dramatically increase its value. Collectors are always searching for coins that stand out from normal production, and when a rare variety is discovered in circulation, it creates excitement in the auction world. Fine condition means the coin shows moderate wear on high points. On the obverse, Washington's hair details may appear worn, and the cheek and jawline could be smooth from circulation. On the reverse, the eagle's feathers may show flattening, and small scratches from handling may be visible. Despite this wear, key design elements remain clear, and the date and mint mark are still readable. When such a coin is confirmed as a rare large date variety and authenticated by a professional grading service, its value can skyrocket. Auction results have shown that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for rare Washington quarter varieties. While most 1968 D quarters sell for just 25 cents, a confirmed rare large date example with unique characteristics and strong collector demand has reached an astonishing $280,000 in today's competitive market. This price reflects not only the rarity of the coin but also the passion of collectors who want to own a truly exceptional piece of American coinage history. The Denver Mint in 1968 was producing coins for nationwide circulation, and quality control was strong, but no minting process is perfect. Occasionally, dies were prepared differently, or slight variations occurred during production. These differences can create collectible varieties that remain undiscovered for decades. It is possible that only a very small number of these large date 1968 D quarters exist, making them incredibly scarce. Collectors carefully examine the size and spacing of the numerals in the date. On the large date variety, the numbers appear thicker and more prominent. The 1 in 1968 may look taller and sharper, the 9 more rounded and bold, and the 6 and 8 may show clearer curves compared to standard examples. These small details can mean the difference between a common coin and a six-figure treasure. Another important factor is authentication. Any 1968 D Washington quarter claimed to be worth $280,000 must be certified by a reputable grading company. Professional grading services examine the coin under magnification, confirm the variety, evaluate condition, and seal it in a protective holder. Without certification, it would be extremely difficult to achieve such a high auction price. The coin market has grown significantly in recent years. More people are searching through their old coin jars, inherited collections, and pocket change. Stories of rare coins selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars inspire collectors to look more closely at coins they once ignored. The Washington Quarter Series remains popular because of its long history and the recognizable image of George Washington. If you want to check your own 1968 Washington Quarter, Start by looking for the D mint mark. Then carefully examine the date under magnification. Compare the size and thickness of the numerals with standard examples. Look for any unusual doubling, bold impressions, or differences in spacing. Even if your coin shows scratches and circulation wear, do not dismiss it immediately. Rare varieties can still be valuable in lower grades if the key features are present. It is also important to understand that not every 1968 D quarter with a large looking date is automatically worth $280,000. The coin must match the known rare variety characteristics and be authenticated. Many coins may appear similar but are simply normal variations. Education and research are essential in the world of coin collecting. The excitement surrounding the 1968 large date D mint mark Washington quarter reminds us that hidden treasures can still exist in everyday coins. The possibility that a circulated quarter with scratches could bring $280,000 at auction captures the imagination of collectors around the world. It shows that rarity and demand can transform even a modern-clad coin into a legendary collectible. Next coin, the 1989 Washington quarter with a large date and D mint mark in circulated condition, even with noticeable scratches and wear, that has recently reached a remarkable $220,000 in today's auction market. The Washington quarter series has been a staple in American coinage since it was first issued in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. Most people have seen these coins thousands of times without recognizing the subtle nuances that make certain pieces extremely rare and valuable. Designed by John Flanagan, the portrait of Washington has remained largely unchanged for generations. Quarters were initially made in 90% silver until 1964, and after that year, they transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition, just like the 1989 quarters. Now, let's travel back to 1989. It was a time when quarters were minted in staggering numbers. The U.S. Mint produced millions upon millions of Washington quarters across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The Denver Mint coins carry the D mint mark located on the obverse, beside Washington's ponytail. Most of these coins spent their lives in circulation, passed from pocket to pocket, and rarely did anyone suspect that one day some of them would be viewed as treasures worth far beyond their 25-cent face value. Ordinarily, a 1989 D Washington quarter in circulated condition is worth only its face value or maybe $1 or $2 to collectors who enjoy everyday circulated coins. But hidden among the masses of common pieces is an extraordinary and rare variety, one with a large date that stands out distinctly from the standard 1989 D quarter. This variety has captured the attention of serious numismatists and collectors worldwide, and under the right conditions, has soared to astonishing values. So what makes this 1989 D Washington quarter different from all the rest? The secret lies in both the date size and spacing on the coin, which is tied to specific die characteristics used during minting. Die varieties occur when the mint's dies, which are the metal stamps used to strike thousands of coins, contain slight variations or anomalies. These variations might be tiny at first glance, but to collectors who know what to look for, they represent a distinct and rare version of a common coin. In the case of the 1989 large date D quarter, the date numerals, the 1, 9, 8, and 9, are struck with larger, more prominent characters than what is typically seen on standard examples. These differences are incredibly subtle to the untrained eye, yet they signify a unique die set that was used only briefly or sparingly. For decades, most collectors thought these coins were just everyday quarters, until a few rare specimens began appearing in collections and auctions that were authenticated and confirmed as the large date variety. What's even more astonishing is that some of these rare quarters were discovered in circulated condition with scratches, wear, and the kind of marks you'd expect from being used as pocket change. Normally, collectors prize high-grade, uncirculated coins with pristine surfaces. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity often outweighs condition. Even a coin with visible wear can command a premium if it's exceptionally scarce. For this specific 1989 D large date quarter, even examples in what collectors would describe as fine condition, meaning the coin shows clear signs of wear from everyday use, have fetched prices that most people would never associate with a quarter. Imagine that. A coin that, in your change jar right now, could be worth more than a luxury car. In recent auctions, authenticated specimens of this rare variety have reached values up to $220,000. Yes, that's not a typo or an exaggeration, $220,000 for a quarter that, to most people, looks like one they might spend at a vending machine or use to test a wishing well. Now let's talk about how these values are actually determined. Auction prices are driven by collector demand, rarity, and verification by professional grading services. The most reputable grading companies will take the coin, examine it in detail under magnification, confirm that it is indeed the rare large date variety, and assign it a grade based on its condition. Even if the coin has scratches and wear, say, in a fine grade, if it's authenticated and certified, it becomes a legitimate candidate for high-end auction bidding. Collectors around the world have been closely watching the market for this 1989 D large date quarter because examples are extremely limited. Not every 1989 D quarter has the large date. Most follow the standard date style. That means only a tiny fraction of the millions of coins produced that year carry this unique die characteristic. Rarity plus collector enthusiasm equals exceptionally high prices. But what does a fine condition coin look like? A fine condition coin will show moderate wear on the high points of the design. The hair details on Washington's head will be smooth in places. The eagle's feathers on the reverse side may have flattened areas. You might notice small scratches and marks from circulation. These are the kinds of details that would make a typical collector say, "This coin is just average." But this is where knowledge matters. Awareness of specific die varieties can turn an average-looking quarter into a historically significant and highly valuable collectible. Collectors and dealers also look for another verification point: die markers. These are small, consistent differences in the die that show up on multiple coins struck from the same die. These markers help specialists confirm that a coin belongs to a specific variety, such as the 1989 D large date. When a coin matches these markers and has the correct date and mint mark characteristics, its value can escalate far beyond what a casual collector might expect. Another important factor in the coin's valuation is the provenance, or history of ownership, especially if the coin has appeared in previous major auctions or belonged to well-known collections. A coin with documented sales history can often earn more confidence from bidders, further increasing its value. You may be curious about how someone could have discovered one of these coins. Often, these rare coins turn up in the most unexpected places, in old collections passed down through generations, in estates, or even in rolls of change pulled from banks. Once someone recognizes the unique features and has the coin authenticated, it can suddenly transition from being everyday pocket change to a six-figure treasure. Next coin, the 1987 Washington quarter with a large date and P mint mark. Even in circulated condition with visible scratches and wear, this coin has shocked collectors by reaching an astounding $200,000 value at auction. The Washington Quarter Series has been one of the most popular and widely collected coin series in the United States since it was first issued in 1932, honoring the first President of the United States, George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the Washington Quarter became a permanent part of everyday American life and eventually transitioned from being a circulation coin to a collectible item in the hands of enthusiasts. Throughout its history, the majority of Washington quarters have been struck in massive quantities, so most people assume they are common and not worth much beyond their face value. But hidden among the millions of these coins are rare and valuable varieties that can be life-changing finds. In 1987, the United States Mint struck millions of Washington quarters at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. Coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint carry the P mint mark, located on the obverse side of the coin beneath the wreath and to the right of Washington's ponytail. Most 1987 P quarters that have circulated over the years are worth only their face value, 25 cents, or slightly more to basic collectors. However, there is a rare variety known as the large date variant that is exceptionally scarce and highly sought after by advanced collectors and numismatic experts. This particular variety, when found and authenticated, has fetched prices up to $200,000 in today's auction environment, even in circulated condition with scratches and wear. So what exactly makes this 1987 P Washington quarter so special? The distinguishing factor lies in the date itself. The large date variety shows noticeably larger and more prominent numerals in the date compared to the standard issue coins. These differences are subtle, something most people would overlook, but to trained eyes and experienced collectors, they represent a distinct and rare die variation. Die variations occur when the dies that strike the coins have slight differences, whether intentional or due to a change in production tools, and they produce coins with characteristics that are not commonly seen. In the case of the 1987 P large date quarter, the date numerals, the 1, 9, 8, and 7, are struck in larger and bolder form. This striking variation may have occurred due to the use of an unusual die pair or an experimental modification at the mint that was not widely documented. What makes this story even more exciting is the fact that many of these rare large date coins have been found in circulated condition, meaning they show signs of everyday use. They may have scratches, worn surfaces, or dents from being in circulation for years. In the coin collecting world, condition matters a lot. Uncirculated coins in perfect condition can fetch high prices, but rarity can outweigh condition. If a coin is incredibly rare and has features that make it stand apart from the millions of ordinary coins, even a worn example can become a treasure worth an astonishing price. In this case, examples of the 1987 P large date Washington quarter in circulated condition with clear signs of use have reached values as high as $200,000 at major auctions, proving that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for a verified rare variety. Now let's talk about the process of verification and why it matters. When a coin like this is discovered, perhaps in an old coin collection, a jar of spare change, or inherited from a family member, the first step is usually to carefully examine the date under magnification. The larger numerals of the date must closely match known examples of this rare variety. Professional collectors and dealers use detailed comparison guides to study the spacing, size, and positioning of the numerals, comparing them to reference images of authenticated coins. This careful comparison helps identify whether the coin truly belongs to the rare variety or is simply a normal example with slight visual differences. Once a potential rare coin is identified, many collectors choose to have it graded and authenticated by a professional coin grading service. These services are widely respected in the numismatic world and provide a detailed assessment of the coin's authenticity, date variety, and overall condition. They encapsulate the coin in a protective holder with a grading label that verifies its characteristics. This certificate of authenticity is crucial for high-end sales and auctions, because it provides guarantees to buyers that the coin is indeed rare and properly identified. One fascinating thing about rare coins like the 1987 P large date quarter is that they remind us that even everyday objects can hold hidden stories and value. Imagine pulling one of these coins out of a box of old coins at a flea market or from a jar on your shelf, not realizing at first that it could be a once-in-a-lifetime find. Many of these rare coins are discovered serendipitously by collectors who know what to look for, but sometimes they are stumbled upon by ordinary people who had no idea what was in their hands until they had it examined by a professional. Collectors also look for tiny die markers, small distinctive marks that appear only on coins struck from a specific die. These tiny markers help confirm that the coin belongs to a particular die pair and that it is part of the rare variety. When multiple coins share the same die markers, it confirms that they were struck from the same die set and helps build a stronger case for rarity and value. These kinds of details are thrilling for collectors and are part of what makes numismatics such a fascinating hobby. The auction records for this 1987 P large date quarter have shown consistent interest from serious collectors around the world. With confirmed specimens selling for up to $200,000, it's clear that the demand for this variety is strong. The presence of other rare coin discoveries in recent years has energized the collector community, driving up interest and prices for rare pieces. Collectors seek not only the coins themselves but the stories behind them, the mystery of how they were created, why they are rare, and how they survived decades of circulation until being rediscovered. Now let's talk about how you can tell if you might have one of these rare coins. If you find a 1987 P Washington quarter, start by looking at the date. Compare it to images of the standard issue dates and look for noticeable differences in the size and boldness of the numerals. Does the date look larger or more prominent than you've seen on other 1987 quarters? Next, you might want to carefully compare the spacing between the numbers. Large date varieties typically show slightly wider spacing and more defined numerals. Next, coin the 1984 Washington quarter with a large date and P mint mark. This is not just any Washington quarter. Even in circulated condition with scratches and wear, this rare variety has astonished collectors by reaching an astounding $220,000 value in today's auction market. Most people are familiar with the Washington quarter, the coin that has been in everyday circulation for decades, passing from pocket to pocket, paying for groceries, parking meters, vending machines, and more. It's a coin that most of us assume is common and unremarkable. But what most people don't realize is that within the millions of quarters produced each year, there are rare varieties that can be true treasures, hidden in plain sight. The 1984 Washington quarter is one such coin. In 1984, the United States Mint struck millions of Washington quarters at the Philadelphia Mint. Coins from Philadelphia carry the P mint mark, located on the obverse side of the coin, just beneath George Washington's hair ribbon. For decades, most of these coins circulated freely without anyone paying special attention to them. They were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition and were intended for everyday use, not for collectors. But among this massive mintage, there exists a rare die variety known as the large date variety, and this version has become one of the most sought-after coins by serious numismatists. The large date variety refers to a specific set of characteristics in the date numerals. On this rare version of the 1984 quarter, the numerals, the 1, 9, 8, and 4, are noticeably larger, bolder, and more prominent than on the standard coins. These differences may seem subtle to the untrained eye, but to experienced collectors and numismatic experts, they are definitive markers of a rare die variation. These characteristics are not found on the vast majority of 1984 quarters, which makes this variety exceptionally scarce. Rarity is the lifeblood of coin value. Even when coins are worn, scratched, or show clear signs of circulation, rarity can elevate their worth far beyond what most people would expect. In the case of the 1984 large date P mint mark quarter, the rarity combined with strong collector demand has driven authenticated examples up to $220,000 at auction, an astounding figure for a coin that most people would toss into a coin jar without a second thought. You might be wondering how such a thing is possible. How can a circulated quarter be worth so much? The answer lies in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, where small variations in dies, minting errors, and unique characteristics can make a world of difference. Die varieties occur when the dies used to strike coins have slight differences, whether intentional or due to production changes or anomalies. These differences can produce unique features on coins that set them apart from the standard issues. In many cases, these rare die varieties slip through the minting process unnoticed and go into circulation like ordinary coins, and it is years or even decades later that collectors recognize their significance. The large date variation in the 1984 Washington quarter is one such example. This rare die produced date numerals that are larger than normal, a distinguishing trait that is confirmed through careful comparison with standard coins. Collectors examine details like the height and width of the numerals, the spacing between them, and how they relate to other design elements on the coin. When these characteristics match the known pattern of the large date variety, the coin becomes a candidate for authentication and, potentially, a high-value collectible. Even coins with wear and circulation marks can be extremely valuable if they are rare and properly attributed. In the coin grading world, we talk about condition using terms like good, fine, very fine, extremely fine, and uncirculated. A coin in fine condition shows clear evidence of wear from use, flattened details, scratches, and softened surfaces. Yet if that coin is a rare variety, it can still be worth a fortune. Collectors understand that in rare cases, condition is secondary to authenticity and rarity. Professional coin grading services play a crucial role in the high-end coin market. When someone believes they have a rare coin, they often send it to a reputable grading service for authentication. These independent companies examine the coin under magnification, confirm its variety and features, assign a numerical grade based on condition, and encapsulate it in a protective holder. This grading and authentication process gives buyers confidence in auctions, where tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars are on the line. The market for rare coins has grown tremendously in recent decades as collectors from around the world compete for the most extraordinary pieces. The story of the 1984 large date Washington quarter is a perfect example of how something that seems ordinary can become extraordinary once its rarity is recognized. Even seasoned collectors sometimes miss these details when coins are in everyday circulation. That's why many rare coins are discovered in the most unexpected places: old collections, estate finds, coin jars, rolls of change pulled from banks. Imagine for a moment scanning through your own change and finding a 1984 Washington quarter. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter you've seen 1,000 times. But what if the date numerals on your coin are slightly larger, bolder, and spaced just a bit differently than what you're used to seeing? That one tiny difference could be the key to uncovering a coin that is worth $220,000 in today's auction market. It's the kind of discovery that turns everyday collectors into instant legends in the coin community. One reason these rare varieties remain elusive is that they are so few in number compared to the standard issues. The Philadelphia Mint struck so many quarters in 1984 that most people assume every example must be ordinary. But that assumption overlooks the possibility of die variations that slipped through the quality control process and entered circulation. It's these anomalies, like the large date variety, that become prized because they are so scarce relative to the millions around them. Collectors also look for supporting details known as die markers, small, consistent indicators that link a coin to a specific die pair. These might include tiny lines, spots, or raised features in specific places on the coin surface. When multiple coins share these markers and match the characteristics of the rare variety, it builds a stronger case for authenticity and value. It's this detective work that makes numismatics so rewarding and exciting. Next coin, the 1998 Washington quarter with a large date and P mint mark. Most people assume modern quarters are common and worthless beyond their face value, but this rare variety has rewritten that assumption and amazed collectors around the world. In everyday life, the Washington quarter is something you might pull out of your pocket, toss into a vending machine, or drop into a coin jar without thinking twice. The quarter has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1932, honoring George Washington, the first President of the United States. Designed by John Flanagan, the Washington quarter remains one of the most recognized coins in circulation today. Over the years, millions and millions of these coins have been produced, and for most years, common quarters are worth only their face value or $1 or $2 to collectors. But hidden among millions of average coins are rare treasures that can be worth astounding amounts to the right collector. In 1998, the United States Mint struck millions of Washington quarters for circulation at the Philadelphia Mint. These coins carry the letter P mint mark on the obverse, near the ribbon in George Washington's hair. For decades, collectors weren't particularly focused on these modern quarters because no one expected them to have any special value. However, there exists a rare and unusual variation of the 1998 Washington quarter, one with a large date design, that has captivated the numismatic community and achieved auction prices up to $190,000. Yes, you heard that right. One of these 1,998 quarters can be worth almost $200,000. So what makes this 1998 Washington quarter so special? The key lies in the date itself. On the rare large date variety, the numerals forming the date, the 1, 9, 9, and 8, are noticeably larger, bolder, and more prominent than the standard 1998 quarter. These differences are extremely subtle to anyone who isn't specifically trained to look for them, but to advanced collectors and numismatic specialists, they are unmistakable signs of a rare die variety. A die, the metal tool used to strike coins, can have small variations or anomalies that result in coins that differ from the standard production. In the case of the large date 1998 quarter, the die used produced a date that is measurably larger and far rarer than what most 1998 quarters show. Die variations like this are often the result of experimental dies, production anomalies, or limited die use before a replacement was made. Most of the coins struck from such dies are pulled from circulation quickly or simply go unnoticed by the public. For decades, these rare 1998 large date quarters may have been mixed in with ordinary coins without anyone paying attention. Only later, as collectors studied small details and compared coins side by side, did the existence of this rare variety become widely recognized. Now you might be wondering, how can a coin in circulated condition with scratches and wear be worth $190,000? The answer lies in rarity and demand. In the world of coin collecting, condition matters, yes, but rarity matters even more. A coin that is one of just a few known examples, even if it shows wear from everyday use, can command astonishing prices because there simply aren't enough of them to go around. Collectors compete fiercely for these rare pieces, and when one comes up for auction, serious collectors often bid aggressively, driving the price to levels that most people would never expect. To put this into perspective, most 1998 P Washington quarters that have circulated are worth only their face value, 25 cents, or maybe a few dollars to a casual collector. But when a coin has the rare large date characteristics and is authenticated and certified by a reputable grading service, its value changes dramatically. Professional grading and certification are critical in the high-end coin market because buyers want assurance that the coin they are bidding on is genuine, rare, and correctly attributed. These grading companies examine the coin under magnification, verify the date characteristics, assess condition, and then encapsulate the coin in a tamper-proof holder with an official grade. Once a coin is certified as the rare large date variety, it becomes eligible to sell at the kinds of high prices collectors are willing to pay. A coin in circulated condition, one that shows scratches, wear on the high points of the design, and softened details, is typically considered a lower grade. But for truly rare varieties, even low grades can sell for extraordinary sums. In this particular case, several authenticated specimens of the 1998 large date Washington quarter in circulated condition have achieved auction results near or around $190,000, proving that rarity can outweigh condition when the collectible significance is high enough. What makes this even more exciting is that many of these rare coins are still likely hiding in collections, drawers, coin jars, and old change rolls. It's entirely possible that someone could find one of these rare quarters in change they've collected over the years without even realizing its potential value. That's part of what makes coin collecting so thrilling, the possibility that treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Collectors who search for die varieties and rare coins spend a lot of time studying tiny details under magnification, comparing date sizes, spacing between numerals, the depth of the strike, and other subtle markers that distinguish rare die varieties from ordinary coins. For the 1998 large date quarter, the date numerals are slightly taller and wider, and the spacing between them can differ from the standard issue. These small differences are the telltale signs that experts use to identify the rare variety. Once a potential rare coin is identified, many collectors will send it to a professional grading service for authentication. The grading process not only confirms the rarity of the piece but also assigns a grade based on condition. These grades help collectors and buyers determine value, especially in the auction market where bidders want confidence in what they are purchasing. Without proper certification, even a rare coin may struggle to achieve its true market potential. The coin collecting community has grown tremendously over the years, with serious collectors, hobbyists, and investors all interested in acquiring rare and unique pieces. Stories of modern coins suddenly achieving huge prices at auction, like our 1998 Washington quarter, capture the imagination and fuel the excitement of the hobby. It reminds us that ordinary objects can sometimes hold extraordinary value, and that history can be hiding in the coins we overlook every day.